let's start there. And that's the big news of the day. Rob G, can you jump in first and just break down the news of the day with Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, this broke early Wednesday morning. It was reported by multiple outlets, first by Adam Schefter, that Deshaun Watson, the franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, is out for the season. He's going to need surgery on his throwing shoulder. Now, this injury is different than the one that caused him to miss a few games throughout the season. He took a hard hit on his throwing shoulder in the first half against the Baltimore Ravens, and interestingly enough, finished the game 14 for 14 in the second half, and then didn't say anything until afterwards that his shoulder was bothering him. MRI revealed a fracture. He is out for the season.
I mean, what a blow, Kerry. What a blow to the Browns. Let me hear your take on Deshaun Watson, and then I'm going to give you mine.
Yeah, the Watson thing is very unfortunate, man. He was starting to, the wheels were starting to turn on for that team. They were starting to get some success going. Obviously, the defense has been good, really, the whole year, and the offense was starting to get an identity, running the ball, playing ball control, have Watson make throws and timely throws, and also use his feet as well. And it's unfortunate. It seems like the Browns always have something happen with the quarterback for the last forever, right? It's been a long time since they've had any stability there. And so you're bringing a guy like Deshaun Watson, who is supposed to be that guy to get you over the hump, and it looks like things are turning that way, and then, misfortune happens again. And, I mean, just talk about the toughness the kid had as well to, be hurt in that first half and come out in the second half and play the way he did and get that win over, the team that a lot of people thought was the best team in the AFC just the week before. So it's just unfortunate, man, and I feel bad for him because it seems like a lot of people wanted to see him fail after, some of the stuff that he had off the field. And, I'm always rooting for people to get a second chance and try to right their careers. And so this is a big setback.
No doubt, but I'm going to go one step further because it is a big setback.
Yep.
But we got to say it, and there's no other way of looking at it. The Deshaun Watson trade is officially a disaster. It is a disaster. Kerry, there's no other way of looking at it, and I'm not blaming him for the injury.
Yeah.
Injuries happen in the game. I'm just talking about let's look at what's happened. They gave him a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
They gave up picks for him. They when he came back, he's only played like 12 or 14 games for them in 2 years.
12, yeah.
12 games in 2 years. He looked terrible last year, and I get it. He was off for 2 years, Kerry.
Yep.
He didn't play. Mm-hmm. You just can't walk in and play in the NFL. You played in the league. It ain't like that. You can't walk off the street and think you're going to be like you were the last time you showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's preparation and training and all the other stuff that goes into it to make you a professional athlete and to make you a player of that caliber. So none of those things wound up working out for them, and I'll just give it to you. Okay, so the 12 games earned $92 million in cash, which is $7.7 million per game. That's what he's earned. Okay, Watson is under contract through 2026. He has $138 million left on the cap. Left on his deal. His annual cap number, $63.9 million.
Yeah.
Okay? And I said, he hasn't been good. He's completed just 61.4% of his passes this year, an average of a mere 6.3 yards per attempt, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, and among 33 qualified quarterbacks, he ranks 21st in passing rate. This guy was an all-pro.
Yeah.
21st in passer rating. 23rd in ESPN's QBR, 44.7. 28th in True Media's EPA play, minus 0.16. Hello, is this on? And you said it earlier. The Browns always have an issue with the quarterback position. Yeah. They have for decades. The Browns thought they outsmarted everybody. They thought they had a defense and a running game. All they needed to do was add a quarterback, add water, and stir, and they were going to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They rolled the dice. And guess what? It came up snake eyes. It just did. Do you expect, and Deshaun Watson, even before this injury, and I know he had the good second half, but I just gave you his numbers.
Yep.
Is he ever going to return to what he was? I'm not convinced of that. I don't care how much time he takes off or heals. I'm not convinced he's ever going to be the quarterback he was with the Texans.
Yeah, it's tough to be the quarterback that he was with the Texans after a shoulder injury to his throwing arm. It's going to be tough. And I have a first person kind of situation happen with me with that. Right, we had a quarterback in New York who, when he came in, I mean, everybody thought he was going to be Tom Brady before Tom Brady, right? And that was Chad Pennington. And, he had a lot of success early, playoffs, and looked like the guy that was really going to be able to get the Jets over the hump. And he had the shoulder injury, came back, had still had a successful career after, but was never the same, right? And so I think he reinvented himself and put himself in a position to be a game manager, somebody who could, still be good enough to be a starting quarterback. And again, we had playoff games with Chad as well, and he just wasn't the same. Now, can Deshaun Watson come back and reinvent himself in that way and give himself a chance to be more than serviceable and be a guy that can still, behind that defense and that running game, get them to the playoffs and maybe to the promised land? I think so. But to be the guy that he was before is going to be tough.
And that's what they paid for.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Like let's be honest. That's the guy they paid for. They didn't pay for a dinking and dunking, like middle of the road, 22nd ranked quarterback.
Right.
They broke the bank. They were in over a barrel because of how the way they handled the Baker Mayfield thing. You got to call up every team and trade him before that leaked out. You know what I mean? Because they wound up devaluing Baker Mayfield, so you got nothing for him. Put him in an awkward spot, and then you still needed him because Deshaun Watson was going to get suspended by the league. It was just really poorly handled by the Browns. Some fans didn't want him. You know what I mean? Yes. I'm with you on second chances.
Yeah.
But there were some fans who just didn't want Deshaun Watson. And a lot of the stuff that we know, a laundry list of stuff, he did to himself and put himself in a bad spot. But people deserve second chances in life. I firmly believe that. And he's gotten it. And this is not about a second chance. It's just whether or not all this time off and now the injury is going to further become a challenge for him, Kerry, to be the quarterback that the Browns thought they were getting. I mean, if they could return him to the store, I think they would return him to the store if they still had the receipt laying around somewhere.
Yeah, the receipts, it's lost. It got blown away in the Cleveland wind. So it's gone. But, again, they've invested in this guy, so they have to be patient with him, right? It's not even one of those situations where they can get rid of him, right? They have to ride this out. And like you said, I mean, the number and the cap hit and all that stuff is real, and it's going to be damaging to them in the immediacy of the return. But, they got to stick with him and hope that he can be, like I said, come back and be, a little bit better than Chad Pennington, right? Because he also can do things with his feet that Chad couldn't do, right? So he still has another element to his game that can be, can kind of be thrown in the mix with him as well.
I got to admit, Kerry, I didn't recognize him
since
he's been back with the Browns. Yep. And that's how great he was and the caliber of player he was prior to this whole thing. I didn't recognize him. Like I kept saying, really?
Yeah.
But then again, when you miss a couple of years and you've been through the hell he went through, and you can't, I don't know how you could think of it as anything else, where your whole life gets uprooted and sponsors and people lose faith in you and, and all the other stuff that comes along with the scandal that he had.
Yeah.
But the football side makes it even tougher now with an injury and his recovery. I'm not saying he can't recover and can't come back or his career's over, but he's already struggled and now he's got to fight through this. So here's something else. If you're Cleveland, I mean, you got to be like, what did we do wrong?
Well, we know they did something wrong, right? Remember, you just said it. They had a quarterback in there that's actually playing, pretty well this year in a different uniform, right? You get, I think league-wide you start seeing people put up numbers and you start seeing teams do certain things and have success with their quarterbacks and the way that they're playing. And you have that toy, like you talked about earlier, you have that thing was shiny when it came in, and then, you start seeing other toys and you kind of want to play with those toys, right? But, a lot of times these teams, especially with quarterbacks and franchise quarterbacks, they shoot the gun. They try to make a change and they try to, keep up with the Joneses, and sometimes you have that guy in your system that can win you games. And so you gotta put some of the blame on Cleveland here as well.